right. Hi, everybody. Once again, my name is Jerry Saunders. I'm the operations senior VP up here at headquarters. And thanks for taking the time to attend this training webinar. As you know, we do these webinars monthly, and I am happy to announce that, fingers crossed, that we'll be able to do our annual report training webinar next month. So we have it's in the final stage of testing here at the headquarters, and then we're gonna get it out for field testing, and hopefully it'll be ready by then. But anyway, this is going to be a training session on accessing rosters. I know Karen Maddox, the Associate Director of Member Services, is going to give you a good presentation. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of folks out there who still don't know how to access rosters and how to look for certain things. We had a problem yesterday with a longtime member looking for rosters and just kind of forgot some things and couldn't find it. But we helped him out, and he's good to go now. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Karen so we can start the training session. Thank you. Karen?
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you all for joining us today. Certainly we know that rosters, tend to have lots of questions that come with them. So we're hoping that this webinar will help answer any questions for anyone who's new to rosters, is used to rosters. I'm hopeful that I'll be able to provide maybe a few tips and tricks you didn't know. But of course, we also want this just to be a resource going forward. So we are recording this, so you're always welcome to come back and reference it. I will say, if you have any questions for me as I go, if you could just go ahead and put those in the chat. I do have a section at the end for questions, so it'd be great if you could put them in the chat. We'll definitely go over them at the end. All right, so jumping on in. All right, so as some of you are aware, or perhaps not, our rosters with our member information are located on our website. You can log into rosters once you've logged into the website through our member portal. Of course, something that is a little bit new to us now, you must first request access to view rosters from headquarters. So we are asking that you will fill out two forms for us. One of them we're calling our security directives, and the other one WISP for short. And this will give you access to the full information of rosters. Really, I think, we've had some feedback from the field that people wanted to see phone numbers on rosters. So this is kind of the way that we're making that happen. So it's very important that you turn in that paperwork. I believe we actually put it in today's Anchors Up. So if you haven't had a chance to turn in those two forms, please do that as soon as you can. If you have any questions, if you need the forms again, please feel free to reach out to us here at headquarters. We'd be more than happy to send them to you. All right, moving right along. So just as an overview of what's included in rosters, we include all member contact information, so including mailing address, email address, phone number, name, prefix, all that good stuff, and their membership history. So not just what type of member they are, but how long they've been a member. So we've got their join date, their expiration date, all that good stuff in there, just to kind of help you, paint a picture so how long your members have been with you when they're coming up for renewal. Just as a tip, our region leadership can also see rosters for their at-large members. So this is something, we do allow members to choose an at-large status rather than choosing a local council. We always encourage them to choose a local council, but they can choose to be at-large. And then just a bit of a tip that we've realized recently, if you have turned in your forms and you're still not seeing phone numbers on rosters, make sure you clear your cache. Sometimes, the way that computers are these days, you might not be seeing the most recent information. So just a bit of a tip, if you need help, of course, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you with that. All right, so I wanted to go into a bit of the screens that you'll see when you, excuse me, I'm gonna slide ahead of myself. So one more tip regarding rosters. I think everyone understands that you can see your full roster list, but a bit more of like a tip and a trick. You can also see your new members and your renewing members. So there are two screens. So there's a screen for new and rejoined members that have new or rejoined within a quarter. And then you can also see members that are up for renewal in the next 30, 60, and 90 days. You know, we get a lot of feedback that that councils want to be able to see, you know, kind of like a breakdown of members that way. You could always look at their expiration date, but I think that this is kind of a nice way to do it as well. You know, if you didn't want to sort through your list, if you had, you know, if you're one of our councils that has quite a few members, I think this is kind of just an easier way to look at that information, particularly as like a quick snapshot. And then of course, the same member information that you'd see on your regular roster, you're also going to see on that new and then renewing members roster lists as well. All right, so this is the slide I was referring to. So I wanted to go ahead and just kind of break down what you'll see in each slide of the rosters. I will say I'm going to go through at the end here and really walk you through exactly how to log in and see rosters. So if you're wondering even how I got to this screen, no worries at all. I will go through that in a second. So once you've logged into the website, this is the screen that you'll see once you've clicked the rosters tab. So as you'll see, you've got your access to rosters here. This is your regular roster. You know, you want all of your active members, all of your lapsed members, you're going to click here. Like I mentioned, you've got your expiring members here, and then also your new and rejoined members. Again, you know, I think most people will use this first screen, so certainly that's why it's in the upper left-hand corner. But again, you know, this other information is there for you if you'd like it. Okay. So once you've clicked that very first one, I'll go back, you've clicked this button here, this access roster. This is the screen that will pop up. So you've got a couple options here to filter your roster. Again, it's entirely up to you. I think a lot of people will just go and want to see who their active members are. Up to you. We kind of have given you options if you'd like to use them. So of course here you'll click and find your council. You can filter by status. As you all are aware, we have 3 statuses of members. We have active status, lapsed status. So these are members who have gone past their expiration date and are within the 60-day grace period that we have. And then we also have dropped members. Dropped members, as they sound, these are people who are no longer current members. They don't count as our members. They no longer receive membership benefits. If you'd like, you can filter by expiration date, join date, member type, all that good stuff. If you just happen to be looking for a certain member, you can sort by last name, whatever's, you know, easiest for you. A tip over here, if your council, and you're probably already aware of this if your council has more than 500 members, but if you have more than 500 members, you will need to request a roster from headquarters. Unfortunately, it's just a weird caveat of our website. It doesn't allow downloads larger than 500 records, but we're more than happy to pull a roster list for you and sort it for you if you need it. Okay, so we've come to this roster page, we've found our council, and we're going to hit search, and that's what this next screen will show us. So this is an example of the information that will pop up once you hit that search button. I think something important to note here, you know, if you're just doing a quick glance for someone, you know, certainly you can, you know, just view it in your web browser. But I think it's really beneficial, and I think this is where what most people would do is this next step, is to export to Excel. You certainly have the option to print your active members. I think the formatting on that can be a bit wonky. I always recommend that people export to Excel. This just gives you an easy way, you know, if you want to filter your members, if you want to sort them a certain way, you have that capability in Excel. One thing to note here, of course, and again, just another tip, once you export to Excel, it's going to export a CSV file. Nothing wrong with that. It looks like a normal Excel file. It's just that it won't let you save any changes that you make to it. So I always recommend go ahead and download the file and then save it as a regular Excel file. And that way you'll be able to make changes to it and it will save just as you'd like. I can't tell you how many times, you know, I have downloaded a CSV file, made changes, and then realized, oh, none of those changes will be saved. So hopefully we'll save you a little bit of heartache there. All right. Okay, I think, yes, now is the time. I'll go ahead and do a real-time walkthrough of what it looks like to pull a roster. So just bear with me. I logged into the website and may have to log back in. Let's see here. Okay, just want to make sure everyone can see my screen. It looks like everyone can. Okay. So I am logged in as myself. So let's see, it might kick me out. So just bear with me. I appreciate your patience. So this is our home screen here. You'd scroll down and you'd see this member resources tab. This is the tab it houses all the good information, but what we're looking for here is rosters. So we're going to hover over membership. So a little bit of a quirk, you don't want to click, just hover. So you're hovering over membership and you'll see, bear with me, my computer didn't like that. And then you're going to hover over rosters. So this is how to get to that rosters tab. Again, just coming back, we're on our main home page. You're going to hover over member resources. You're looking for membership, and then you're going to come right over to rosters. So I'm going to go, oh, it did kick me out. I had a feeling. Bear with me. Let me just log in really quickly. Okay, here we are. Okay, perfect. And it took me to the roster screen. So as I mentioned, I think lots of people will just go to this tab here, but we've got our renewing members, we've got our new and rejoined members as a resource for you. So we're going to go ahead and click Access Roster. Okay, so like I said, it's going to bring us to this screen here. This is the only option you have. So we're going to go ahead and find a council. So let's say that we were in the Alameda Council. I say for today, we're just going to go ahead and look at our active members. So it's thinking, and here we go. Okay, so it is saying processing. Please be patient. You know, if depending on the size of your council, it can take a little bit longer. Depending, of course, on the speed of your internet, it might take a little bit longer, but we just ask for a little bit of patience. Sometimes it takes it a minute to think. Okay, and so this is the information that will pop up. As you can see, it's got all of the member information here. I will say, just kind of a tip and a trick, if there's something here, so say for example, this member doesn't have an email address, if they aren't showing up here in the roster, it's because we don't have that information in our database. So anything that we've got, we're showing to you. So it could just be possible that somebody chose not to give us their email, chose not to give us their phone number. So of course, if you have that information, please pass that along and we'd be happy to then put it on the roster for you. Okay, so like I mentioned, this is that export to Excel. I guess I'll go ahead and do that now just so we can see what it looks like. Again, this will take a minute to process. So just appreciate your patience here as it wants to think. So what we're looking, oh, there we go. And I say what you're looking for here, at least on my computer, I'm looking at this little download here. And if you click this will then open it into Excel. And you've got all of your information here and you can filter that however you'd like, whatever makes the most sense for your council. You know, some people want to use it as a, you know, a checklist at events to see if people have come in. So it would make sense to filter it by last name. But again, whatever works best for you. All right, so coming back to our presentation, now is actually the time that I'd love to take your questions. I see that we've got a couple questions in chat. So I'll go ahead over there and work on that. Okay, so give me one moment as I just read through them. Okay, so it looks like we got a question from Glenn Looney. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us. Glenn's question is, how long do new and renewed members remain on that roster? Glenn, that's a great question. Thank you for mentioning that. So it is a quarter. So we are looking at the last 3 months. That's how long you'd see on that new and renewed member roster. We thought it made more sense than just 1 month. You know, having a little bit more information might be helpful. So it's 1 quarter of the year. Okay. Another question from Glenn. Thank you, Glenn. Why does it download an Excel result in a CSV file? Bit of an inconvenience. Yeah, I would agree with you on that, Glenn. It's just the way that it works. I know that's not really a good question or a good answer to that question. That's just the format that our website can download. That's why I wanted to make mention of it. Yeah, agreed. CSV file, it's not necessarily the easiest, but you know, that's why I wanted to mention it here, that it makes more sense to download into an Excel file versus a CSV. Okay, so Tim, thank you for providing your question. Looks like Tim just sent it to me, so I'll go ahead and read it to the group. What might be the issue when a member says they aren't getting a renewal notice by either the mail or the email? Tim, that's a great question. I would wonder if we have a correct mailing address for them. I would wonder if we have the correct email address for them. That would probably be my first route to figure out what's going on. So we do send renewals every month. We send renewals 30 days out. We send renewals 60 days out. We send renewals 90 days out. And then also we send a notice when somebody has lapsed. If someone does have an email address with us, we send emails. If they do not have an email address with us, we send all of that communication in the postal service. I will say everyone does receive a mailed renewal notice 30 days out from their renewal date. Just even if they do have an email, I like to have somebody have a physical piece of mail from us. So I hope that answered your question. I will provide my email at the end though, if you want me to dig into that, happy to do so. Okay, just looking down at these questions. Looks like Lawrence, thank you for joining us. Do we have a field for member purchase or renewal date? So Lawrence, to answer your question, I think the best field you're looking for there is the expiration date. That is the date that the member is up for renewal. So I think that's probably the best field for you there. Okay, let's see, these are great questions. Thank you all for sending them in. Okay, looks like Chris, is there a date updated list somewhere? How often is it updated? I believe that you're referring to the rosters and how often they're updated. They should be updated, they should be updated, as soon as we can get the information out there. We do, and if you're referring to like the new and renewed, or yeah, the new and rejoined members, that is updated once a month. So it's kind of like a running, within the last quarter. I hope that answers your question. Let me know if I didn't get to it. Okay, looks like Lawrence, if so, it looks like this was a follow-on question, so just give me 1 second. Oh, Lawrence, I think to answer your question, I think you were just asking a second question regarding the expiration date. Is it included in the download file? Yes, sir, it is. It would be called expiration date. I think that's the one that you're looking for. Okay, looks like got another question.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
It's on the download file, but the new renew file does not have expiration date.
Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, good to know. We will make sure that that's available to you because certainly that would be helpful. Thank you for that. Okay, just going back down the questions. Let me make a note about the expiration date though. I want to make sure that that's available for you all. Okay, great. Okay, looks like Tim, this is a good question. What are the benefits of organizations having annually, parentheses December renewals versus an organization that does it that do on joining anniversary dates? So Tim's question is really, what's the benefits of having somebody join, or I guess renew on a calendar date versus an anniversary? I think it depends on the association. I'd be happy to discuss this with you one-on-one. Navy League's always been an anniversary date renewal. I don't really see any benefit for us necessarily being a calendar renewal date, but I'd be happy to talk about that with you one-on-one. Okay. Bob Dickman, thank you for your question. Bob's question is, can I access names of members that expired last year so we can prompt them? Absolutely, Bob. So what you want to do there, you'd want to look in the dropped status. So when you're pulling your roster, if you remember, I just went ahead and pulled everybody who was active. So you have the option for active, lapsed, and dropped. So I would filter by dropped, and then I would filter by the expiration date of, so anybody in 2019. What I would probably do, honestly, just to make it a bit easier, I'm comfortable in Excel, but it's certainly whatever works best for you. I would probably just filter by the drop status and pull that whole list and then filter it in Excel for the expiration date that you wanted in case you wanted to add a month or two on either end. I think that might be easiest. Hope that answers your question, Bob. All right, looks like William Sanchez has a question. Why is there no date on the roster? If we look at it day to day or week to week, we would have to match up everything to see if there are changes, a clear waste of time. Okay, William, that's a fair point. So there's no date on a roster as to when it was last updated. That's a good point. The information that's in the roster should be as up to date as we can get it. I will say the information, the way that rosters pull, it does pull from a different tab, so it's not as quick on the draw as, you know, as it could be. This is definitely something that I'm working with our IT department to make it a better solution. But you're right, there is no date. I agree. I think that is a bit frustrating. You'd have to look at it and see what the differences are. I'd be happy to reach out to you and chat and see if there's anything, that we can do. If you have any suggestions one way or the other, I'd be happy to discuss that with you. Okay, looks like we've got one last question.
I have another one.
Oh, sure thing. Let me get to Chuck's question and then I will certainly be happy to answer yours. All right, so it looks like Chuck had a question. Some members on my roster have an invalid address. Yep. In the past, I tried to get their address deleted, but I was told unless I had a new address, the old address couldn't be deleted. Is that still the case? Use your roster. Yeah. Okay. So we do have the option in our database to mark whether somebody has a valid or invalid mailing address. This will happen a lot if we get, for example, a CPower back in the mail, or certainly in your case, if you get mail that's returned undeliverable to you, of course. I'd be happy. So once we do mark somebody invalid, their information should not show up on the roster. So I'd be interested to see what you're seeing on your end, Chuck. Feel free to reach out to me with an example for that, because I think that'd be interesting. We can, if somebody's address is no longer valid, I'm happy to mark them invalid in our system. I think, that's an important piece that we need to have. We need to know if somebody's address is no longer valid. So I'd be happy to, discuss that with you one-on-one. But yeah, so we're happy to mark somebody invalid, if they've moved, if whatnot, if we know that address isn't working anymore. Okay, I believe that was you on the phone. I'm so sorry.
Ivan.
Yeah, go ahead, Ivan. Yeah.
You said something about expired members can be found. Where is that? I'm looking at the screen on my computer behind me right now.
Okay.
And nothing there to get old expired members. I know we can get them. If we ask you for them, you can dig them out and send them from the database. But
yeah, happy to do that too. You're absolutely right. I always like to give people the option if they want to, do it themselves. Happy to let them do it themselves.
but where is it?
So when you're on the roster screen, you're going to want to, it's got a little filter for status. It will automatically say active, but you're looking for dropped to see your expired members. Well, let me say, when I think expired, I think somebody who's been expired for a long time. Lapsed will also show you members who have recently expired. So if you're looking for somebody, who expired last month, you're going to want that lapsed status. Hope that answers your question.
Well, which box? There are 6 boxes on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would you use?
No problem. You're looking for the one that says status. Let me see if I can bring up the screen so we can see.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go.
It says renewal status.
So you're looking for this screen here, Ivan. If you can see on the computer here, I'm hovering over status. It's that one just below council. Again, it always defaults to active, but you're looking for lapsed or dropped. Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's not on the screen that has the 6 boxes.
No, sir. No, sir. You're looking for here. Mm-hmm. Yep, you're going to be on the main roster page. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good question. I'm glad you asked that. All right, good deal. Okay, Ivan, did I answer your question? Are you good to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Okay, I wanted to come back to the chat because it looks like we've got a couple more that have come in. So thank you. These are great questions. I certainly appreciate it. It looks like Glenn's question, does Navy League still have a national membership committee? How can we interact with them? Glenn, great question. We do still have a national membership committee. It is chaired by our national MVP, Chris Townsend. So if you'd like to, join, if you have questions, I would certainly direct you back to Chris Townsend. Everybody usually, calls him Townie, but I'd be happy to connect you with him if you had questions regarding the committee. Okay, looks like Jane had a question. Okay. If a council is over 500 members, it does not let you download the new and renewed members, even if the list is less than 100. Fair point, Jane. You're absolutely right. It's odd that, yeah, it won't let you do it even if that one's less than 100. We're more than happy to pull that information for you. I agree. It's frustrating that it won't, it tops us out at 500 members. Agreed, it's a frustration. It's definitely something we're looking to fix. We certainly hear that feedback a lot from our bigger councils. You all need to be able to pull your roster lists, and you need to be able to pull, that information, because that's great information. So Jane, feel free to reach out to me after this presentation. We'd be more than happy to pull those lists for you of your members. Looks like Bob Saul had another note. Thank you for bringing this back up. I mentioned it at the beginning of the presentation, but again, those two security forms. So there are two, and we did link them again in today's Anchors Up. But again, if you didn't get that, or if you missed that today, happy to send it to you after this presentation. So there are two forms that you'll need to fill out to have full access to rosters, up to and including those phone numbers. So thanks for that, Bob. I appreciate that. Okay, looks like William Sanchez had a question regarding the forms. Okay, I completed the WISP form and can now see telephone numbers. Awesome, glad to hear it. Is there any other info hidden? If so, does submitting the form give me access? It's a fair question, William. No, phone numbers were the only other thing that you'd have access to. Unless we have, we don't have any other information unless there's something that you want to see, I'd be happy to chat with you about that. But, if you feel like there's something missing, nope, phone numbers are the one thing that you'd now have access to. So thank you very much for filling out your form. It was a good PSA to anybody on this call. If you haven't filled out your forms, please do so. But yeah, just filling out the form will let you see phone numbers. So thank you for that question. All right, so it looks like that's the end of the chat. Did we have anybody else on the, oh, nope, I spoke too soon. Okay, Steve, this is a fair question. Thank you, Steve. After you complete the security forms, how long before you have access? We try to turn that around as soon as possible, Steve. Give us, 24 to 48 hours. Come bug me if you don't have access. But I would say anything no longer than 48 hours on that one. Good question, Steve. Okay, I am actually going to just pull up a slide just so you all do have my email address. There we go, right there, kmaddox@navyleague.org. Certainly happy to answer any one-off questions. Again, if you need links to those forms, happy to provide them, happy to chat about any issues you're having. But I just wanted to give a minute to anybody on the phone. I know Ivan had a question, but anybody else on the phone who's got questions for us? All right, quiet bunch. Well, everyone, I just want to say thank you again. I think the questions that you asked were great. I think they were definitely just in line with what we needed. But again, I'm here as a resource for you. I'm happy to troubleshoot any issues that you're having. Certainly just let me know if there's anything, at headquarters, or of course, reach out to Jerry. He's always happy to answer questions. But again, feel free to come to me. I'm happy to help you with any roster questions or general membership questions. With that, do we still have Jerry on the phone? Do you want to close us out, Jerry, or do you want me to?
Jerry's not on anymore, Karen.
Okay, Vita, then I would be happy. I just want to give everybody one last call. Any questions, happy to answer anybody at all.
Hey, Karen.
Oh, great. Hey, Dan.
Why isn't your picture up?
This is Mark Harden. I just wanted to say thanks for doing this. Great topic.
Sure, no problem, Mark.
Very
Looks
good.
like
Thank you, Karen.
Yep, no problem. Have a good one.
Hey, Karen, Dan McCourt from Pensacola.
Hey, Dan, I thought you were there.
Yeah, indeed. So one thing, it's a spillover between membership and rosters. And it, of course, I think is affiliated with the at-large membership. They just appear to be semi-randomly associated with different councils. So we have a list of about 35 as I look at our roster that are nowhere near our area. What is the best way to reconcile getting them off our roster and back to somebody else's that's more geographically suited?
That's a great question, Dan. Thank you for that. So I'll say that answer is a bit more complicated than I think I realize. It is up to a member to decide what council that they want to be in. So they could, they could be in California and want to be part of the Pensacola Council. They could be that they've moved away, and still want to be part of you. So in that case, it's really up to the member to move. Now, that being said, sometimes people move and they forget to switch councils. I totally realize that happens. So as long as you can get in writing, even if it's just an email from your member saying, hey, yeah, I do want to move out of the Pensacola Council, or I want to move to, goodness gracious, somewhere in New England. We're happy to make that. It's just really, it's up to the members. It's the member's choice to move councils. So if you can get that information from them, I'm happy to make that change in the system.
Okay, great, thanks. That answers a significant question. Appreciate it, Karen. Good
No
brief
problem.
today.
Yep, thanks, Dan. Thanks for joining us. All right, if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and end this webinar. Again, thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it and great questions. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hi.